what brought you to Grow?
So basically, I was in college at the time, and I was doing my undergrad. I think I was in about second year, and I'd been going like for counselling and stuff like regularly, and that was all fine. I was making like progress there, but it was quite slow. And for me, the main, I guess, issue I had was like one-on-one talking to people. I'm fine, but in bigger groups, I get very stressed, and like down the line, I kind of figured out that I have social anxiety. So like while I was doing the counseling, she was always saying like to try and find a group to go to, and I kind of tried a few different groups, and it wasn't really working out for me. I felt like when I go to the group, it always said in the message, you know, you don't have to speak if you don't want to or whatever. But then when I'd arrive at the group, I'd feel like this pressure, like that they kind of this expectation that like they would expect you to speak, and I just wasn't like really ready. I never went in with the intention to speak. I just went in to kind of observe and stuff. So
Mm.
they were just a bit too much for me. So then when I found Grow, I was really glad when I went in the first day, and I still remember it so well, but there was only like 2 people there. It was quite a small group the first day I went, and I was like so relieved because there wasn't a lot of people to like look at me or whatever to feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the coordinator just introduced it, and like she was so warm and welcoming and smiley and everything, and that was really nice. But I remember the other person was kind of giving a testimony, I guess, but I wouldn't have known then what that was, like just telling her story. And listening to that was like really good because I didn't have to talk, but yeah, at the same time, I was like really nervous, and I was like sweating and anxious and everything, like, oh, I'm going to be expected to talk and stuff, but that expectation wasn't put on me at all. And Grow, it was just sit back and take it in, so then I could just relax and actually listen to what people were saying, so I didn't feel so pressurized. And like then with the reading and stuff, like I'd be happy to read, so I kind of got my confidence up in terms of like speaking in front of a small group, and then there was more people joining the group, so like it really built my confidence that way in front of a small group, whereas before I would have like really panicked in those situations, and just kept building my confidence then over time.
So it was a slow, gradual process.
Yeah, definitely. One of the members, he actually had a saying, it was like a snail going to Jerusalem. It's like a really slow process.
That
So
one.
you have to just take it one step at a time. Yeah, I love that one.
Oh. And do you remember when you started feeling like you were getting a handle on your social anxiety?
Yeah, so it was really, I guess, when I've been going to Grow regularly, and then I thought, okay, now I want kind of another challenge. Like I felt comfortable enough with Grow, and I knew it was a safe setting, but I wanted something more. So I'd been looking before going to public speaking groups, but they were way too much for me at the time. I was like, no way. So then I went back to kind of public speaking groups, and I found one for kind of more people with social anxiety in that. So I joined that, but if I hadn't had the step of Grow like in the beginning, I wouldn't have made that because the gap was like really big for me. So anyway, then I started to go to the group, and I gained like loads of confidence in speaking and just expressing myself and getting used to hearing the sound of my own voice. And yeah, then I started to help out with the group as well, and to facilitate and lead the public speaking group, which I was like something that I'm really proud of, because like earlier on I would never have wanted to put myself in the spotlight like
Yeah,
that.
that's a
So
massive leap forward.
yeah, it was really great. So but it was thanks to Grow for getting me like the small steps all along the way to building up to doing that.
That's great.
And
And what about social interactions, like social events or things like that?
yeah, I guess as well, I kind of get boosted my confidence so that I could go to other groups and things. I'd still find it challenging, I guess, sometimes in like unstructured social situations. But it's just learning to trust myself that I'll be able to deal with them, and to go into the situation anyway, rather than before I would just totally avoid everything. Like I wouldn't want to go out, say clubbing or dancing or anything, because I'd be too self-conscious. But it built up my confidence in such a way that now if I want to go out, I can go out, and I'm not going to avoid it just because I'm too anxious or something, and I can have a really good time and laugh and just
Mm,
forget about all that kind of anxiety and stuff, which is great. It's like such a freedom now.
yeah. And it's added a lot to your life, has it? The fact that you now aren't hiding away from things. I'm sure you're doing a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. It just gives me that confidence to try new things all the time. And like there's loads of different groups then that I join because of having more confidence and being able to just know that I'll be able to like talk and stuff in situations.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's broadened my perspective, I guess.
And you make friends and grow as well. Well, that's what I found anyways, where if you say for somebody who was apprehensive about making friends or didn't have the confidence to make friends, it kind of makes you feel like you've already got some friends and they like you. So
Yeah, exactly. Like there's somebody in your corner that just gets it and they know and they understand. I remember that it was kind of mainly like older people in my group, but there was one young person at the time, and she kind of explained things from her perspective about how like with the ages and stuff, even though initially you might feel like, oh, there's a difference in age gap, but yet everyone still comes from like a similar background and just gets it, regardless of what kind of issues you're going through or whatever. So she just really reassured me that there's that understanding across the board, and having somebody in your corner, regardless of what's happening for you, is
that's
just a
it,
really
yeah.
nice feeling.
And you chose to talk about step 9 in the 12 steps of recovery and growth. And that's we developed willpower to do the right thing in spite of our feelings.
Yeah.
So why did you pick that one?
Well, I kind of think that it's like it comes up at the start of every day. Like there's a lot of things that I wouldn't feel like doing, others might not feel like doing, like in the morning waking up and it's nice and warm in the bed. I don't feel like getting up, especially if like, you know, maybe during lockdown or something like that. There's no maybe purpose or structure to the day if there's no like job or college or stuff like that. Just to take that first step of the day to get out of bed is like so
Yeah,
simple on one hand, but it's so like hard on the other hand to just override that feeling of comfort and being cozy in bed to just rolling out of bed and taking the first steps kind of into the day. And that's like it's continuous as well, I guess, because some days you feel happy in yourself and you're happy to get up, and then other days it's more of a struggle. So
yeah,
especially on the struggle days, to be able to override that feeling of just wanting to stay under the covers away from home, to just
oh,
getting
yeah, I
into the
hear
day.
you. Yeah, and so you use it for small things and big things, I'm sure. Anything really that you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. So that could be public speaking, or it could be a
Yeah.
small thing like going to the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even having the confidence, kind of, I'm going back to college now doing masters, and even having the confidence in myself that, oh, I will be able to like cope with whatever kind of comes along, even though looking at the whole thing, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like I'll be able to do the big thing. But then like breaking it down to small steps and just taking it 1 week at a time has been
Yeah,
really helpful for
that's
the bigger
great.
things.
What role do you think the 12 steps play in the Grow program?
I guess it's just like a guide, I suppose. Like, so you can maybe take one depending on where you're at and kind of in life. Like the other one's about enduring until you're cured and things like that. So, just keeping going and you'll kind of get there eventually. I think it's just about like not giving up, always taking some new kind of challenge, and they can kind of, I suppose, you can jump between steps. It doesn't have to be in order. I don't think you can go whatever your life situation is at the time, like it can go up and down obviously all the time, so you
Yeah.
can change to whatever
Yeah.
step.
What would be your favorite part of the book, or what do you read the most?
I love the little sayings actually, like you know the one about good feelings can't be ordered in like pizza. I love that one. It's kind of about like activating yourself and then the motivation comes afterwards and stuff. The little one liners I think can be really good for
Yeah.
just like solidifying, say, whatever task I take for the week or that.
Hmm.
um and actually the tasks are great for especially things that I don't feel like doing. And then I take it for a task and I know there's kind of someone that's accountable the following week.
Mm.
And it won't be judged if it doesn't like get achieved, but it gives me generally the motivation to kind of get going on it. Like I remember when I was doing my thesis in college, and I was procrastinating terribly, and it was all piling up like mad. And then the group was like, maybe just take like 100 words. And I did that then. I kind of lowered the expectations, I guess. And then once I got started, then it was fine. And I like flew through it. Then I kind of, once I'd start typing, then I'd keep going. But to make that first step, it was always like the task, I guess.
You're taking it in little pieces, and the group kind of keeps you on track, that and focuses your attention, because sometimes, a lot of the time, people come into my groups and say, I had all these plans for my weekend and I didn't get any of them done, and then really what we say is focus on the small things that you did do. You don't have to take on a mountain of things, you know. So it's kind of like reminds you to take a little bit at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Just those small steps. Yeah, definitely.
And was there anything besides social anxiety that you feel like the group might have helped you with?
Yeah, definitely. I would have had, like, with, I guess a lot of the things are linked. I would have had depressive episode or depression as well. And one of the things that was really freeing about the group was just hearing people use those words and just talk about them openly, as opposed to their kind of thing that's kept to the side, or when you go to the doctor or something. Just being able to have that like open chat was great. So yeah, definitely when I go into the group in like kind of a low mood or feeling down or something, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere in my life. And then I'd come out, and the group would help to highlight, oh, you've done this, this, this. Actually, you're doing really well. And all the progress they've made. So I love that as well, that it's kind of encouraged that we always focus on the progress. And that kind of builds the positivity then for the meeting, that we're focusing, kind of made to focus on the good things, even if we don't kind of see them initially.
Yeah, that's true. And how would you sum grow up in one word?
The first word that comes to mind is supportive.
Oh, that's good. Good word. So how would you explain the support that they give, like compared to counseling or or medication, or you know, for challenges in your life? How would you compare a peer support program like Grow to that?
Well, for one thing, it's ongoing. So there's no end. Like counseling can often be like 6 sessions or an allocated goal or something, and then that's it. But like you're always growing through life. It's a lifetime thing. And there's always something we can be working on improving and developing ourselves. So the supportive side, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's more open space or something, more open to share. The value of getting like lots of different people's perspective on it, or opinions or strategies, a way to do things, can be much broader than just one person, even if they have the training and the background and everything. It's not to say it doesn't have its place. I think they can both be quite good together as well. But yeah, for sure. And even just having a laugh and stuff. Often in counseling, you can be a bit serious, and you just need to. Someone has a saying or something that just like loosens it up. Like there's someone in one of her groups, and she was saying, "Always remember it's a great day when you can pull up your own knickers." And I love that one.
Wow, that's certainly being grateful for small blessings, isn't it?
Exactly. Just stuff like that like other people bring up from their life experience and stuff. And listening to other people's story, I guess, yeah, that's a huge thing. The fact that the area coordinators, like, they're leading the meeting, they're not the lead and they're not in charge. They're like part of it, and they have problems too. I think when I originally went to counseling, it was like I had this idea that the counselor has like a perfect life and they have no problems and they know everything. But when I went to Groden, I was like, oh, this person has like stuff going on in their life as well. So it really opened my eyes that way. And it's not like one person leading all the time, it's shared. So it's
That's
more
a
of a
good
kind of
point.
collective energy then.
Yeah. How long have you been with Grow?
Yeah, I was trying to think back. I think it's about 4 years now. So yeah.
Wow. And so what age were you when you joined?
Uh,
24?
or 23 maybe, about, yeah, around then, yeah.
Okay. And Would you say that your friends or people your age at the time would have been open like yourself to go to something like that, or is that improving now? Do you think more people, young people, would be open to go into groups?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. When it comes to webinars or like I say, group talks where people don't have to maybe share themselves or not expected to share themselves, there's always I find like high numbers and the range is more. But when it comes to actually going for a group support thing, I don't know why, but the numbers always seem to be a lot lower, even though I think there's a lot more benefit from that. I'm not sure why that is. Is it like that feeling of not wanting to go into a group initially or what it is? But
Mm.
yeah, I think it's kind of, you have to have a certain mindset in a way to want to improve yourself or to want to make a change to be able to kind of make that step and
Yeah,
go for
definitely.
something like this. Yeah.
And when you remember going in when you were 23 or 24, and you compare that to where you are now,
Mm.
how would you describe that difference?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's made me, I feel a lot more resilient. And I don't feel like before, maybe I was a bit reliant on the counselling to get me from one week to the next when I was like low moods and maybe a bit isolated and lonely and stuff. But now I'm like, I don't rely on it. And now and again, maybe I can like dip into counselling or something, but it's kind of generally, I don't need it as much. Like I've kind of gone like a year or two then without really needing much counselling in between, whereas before I was having like loads of sessions like every week. So it's
Oh,
reduced the need for going for counselling and stuff like that. And I guess as well, like back when I was kind of getting diagnosed and different doctors and nurses and stuff like that and trying to give me medication, and I just didn't want to go down that route. That wasn't for me. But like they didn't have really other resources. That was their kind of medical model, I guess.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't want to do that. And I find like now I'm glad that I didn't, that I took the route that I knew was best for me. Even though you can listen to the professionals, but then everyone knows themselves best and needs to take their own decision on what's best for them.
Yeah, well done for knowing yourself.
Yeah.
That was a good move. So do you think you'll stick with Grow for indefinitely into the future?
Yeah, I think so at the moment anyway. Like even when I was going to the one in my own kind of southeast area, and then when I moved to Dublin for a while for a job, I went to the one up there as well. So it's actually great. Like I remember going into that group and it was so different to the first time I went in because I like knew the program and everything and I was much more confident in myself. So it was great to look back and be able to see all the progress.
Oh, that's
Um,
brilliant.
yeah, I wasn't nervous going in or anything. I was like, oh yeah, very confident and didn't phase me or anything, like even though it was a totally new group and stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. Because even a regular person that doesn't have social anxiety would find that difficult going into a group.
Yeah, no,
Dublin
I was like,
especially, you don't know
I was like, it's
what kind
gross, so they'll all be friendly faces.
of, that's true.
I would say if anyone's thinking about it, to just give it a try, and maybe even when you go to counselors or something, someone might not be the right fit. Maybe you could try different groups or something, and there's no harm in trying. At the end of the day, it's free. You can just do a donation if you want. So there's no pressure kind of financially as well, which I think is like really, really important for accessibility.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
there's nothing to lose. I don't think really. You can just turn up and sit and listen to other people at the beginning. So give it a try.